Hello, friends, and welcome to Just a Couple of Guys, now in our 11th month. My partner, Pat Crimmins, and yours truly, Ray Rogina. Hope you enjoyed today's podcast as we begin our St. Patrick's Day celebration with an individual who is all things Irish to the Fox Valley. Seamus, Shay Clarke, will join us and give us a glimpse into Irish culture, talk about his journalistic experiences as a broadcaster and writer, as well as describing his guided tour experiences to various European destinations. All of that coming up. But first, Pat and I will bring you our own little travel segment after a word from one of our fine sponsors. Stay tuned.
At McNally Heating and Cooling, we understand that customer satisfaction starts with arriving at your home on time. Your service technician will apply the same attention to detail and quality workmanship to every job, large or small. We offer upfront, honest pricing, and we'll make sure the job gets done right from start to finish. From furnace and air conditioning service, minor repairs, or total equipment replacement, we do it all. Give us a call or find us online and let the luck of the Irish work for you.
Hello, friends. When you think about buying a new or used vehicle in the Chicago market, there's only one name that really stands out: McGrath. When you are thinking about which brand is synonymous with reliability, value, technology, and performance, it's Honda. Put the two together and you have two great options: the all-new McGrath Honda in St. Charles and McGrath Honda in Elgin. Both stores are ginormous with acres and acres of inventory. Choose from Honda Civics and Accords, CR-V and Passport, even the Ridgeline truck. Visit our brand new location, McGrath Honda in St. Charles or McGrath Honda in Elgin. You'll be glad you did.
One of them has been to every baseball park on the planet. And the other loves driving to Nebraska. Join us now for Travels with Pat and Ray as they seek Point Nemo, Isthmuses, and other exotic locations in our big, beautiful world.
We're back. No, we're not back.
Yes, we are back from the introduction. Come on here.
Oh, we're back from the introduction. That's right. I'm sorry. I've lost myself in time and space. This is the travel segment. What do we call it?
Travelogue, or an attempt on our part to tell our audience about some of our travels and what we liked and what we did not like about our travels.
And the beautiful thing about it is Ray, as you know, travels exotic places and does exotic things, whereas I don't. So we have fun with that.
What have you been doing lately?
Well, let's talk about Crimmins and travel. I went to Bloomington, Illinois.
Right near my alma mater.
Yes, it's a wonderful, wonderful place. I rode on a bus. It was a mock trial tournament down in McLean County. And so we went down in one of those school buses.
This is St. Charles North, is that
St.
correct?
Charles North High School, a mock trial team. And they have a tournament every year down at the courthouse. And it used to be a wonderful tournament. It was fabulous. Thousands of teams. Everybody got a boxed lunch. And they had all these announcements, best attorneys, best witnesses. This year, no lunch. And we found out who the top 8 were just by a little handwritten sign on the door. And that was it. But so the kids had fun. It was a bonding experience.
Did you get a chance to? I know the weekend you went. Did you get a chance to watch the Super Bowl?
I think we watched a little bit of it, but it was the first year of my life where the Super Bowl wasn't a big part of my day. Yeah, it was pretty sad, actually.
But I give you credit for it. Again, all kidding aside, Pat does all his work pro bono. He's been doing it for over 30 years, helping out these high school kids and their experience, a mock trial experience. And we need to take our hats off to him for that, because it has been quite a long and arduous but very beneficial experience.
34
for all
years.
These kids. Exactly right.
Now, I missed the Super Bowl, and the state tournament is on St. Patrick's Day that weekend.
Oh, my God.
Yes. So I'm going to miss my anniversary. But enough of that. So then, Ray, I take it you've traveled.
Well, I said when I stepped away from the mayor's office that I would do a lot of traveling, make up for lost time. And not that I haven't traveled a lot in the past, but really accelerated. My wife, Diane, and I have decided to do that. So anyway, we've actually planned 4 trips coming up between now and the end of August.
And none of these trips involve me as a guest.
No, but if you were to say we'll meet you, let's say in Charleston on April Fool's Day, and also Final Four Day in Charleston, South Carolina, I would be happy to have you. I'd buy you a beer.
Who's this we? You mean me?
Diane and I would meet you. And I'm going with Diane. And we'll meet you in South Carolina. But yeah, I've got some trips planned coming up, and our guest coming up here, Shay Clarke, will talk about Ireland. And in fact, I'm going to Ireland at the end of August to see Notre Dame and Navy in Dublin. And that we were going to go a couple of years ago, and COVID scratched it all out.
Sure.
But in the wintertime, it's kind of tricky about traveling. But this year I decided, heck with it. I'm not going to let winter bug us. And we enjoyed our trips to the Twin Cities area, Minneapolis, St. Paul, in the summertime, several times. I ran the Twin Cities Marathon 3 times. We went up there just for fun and really enjoyed the area because it's an urban area with lakes all over the place. So we decided.
What got up there? 10,000 lakes?
Land of 10,000 lakes. So we decided this year to go to the St. Paul Winter Carnival. And that was an experience in and of itself because it was mighty cold.
Sure.
Temperature dropped below 0 at night. But yet we were out there walking around and looking at all these various ice sculptures, heading to the warming tents on occasion for a warm drink of some sort. And but I had some observations about the Twin Cities that I picked up this time that, frankly, I did not know. St. Paul is, of course, the little brother or sister to Minneapolis. And, sometimes it's looked down upon. But St. Paul is a very interesting city.
It's like Chicago and Wheaton?
Well, no. St. Paul's a little larger than that. But, the Minneapolis with all the sports and everything. And the big U is over there, University of Minnesota, one of the biggest Big Ten universities.
Sure.
And so anyway, got a chance to experience St. Paul. Here's a couple of things I noted. If you go to St. Paul, you want to go down to Little Italy area, which is on 7th Street, right down the street from the XL Center, where the hockey team, the Minnesota Wild, play. And they're crazy. They're wild about the Wild.
Sure.
I've asked myself the question, how in God's name could a team leave Minnesota, the North Stars, go to Dallas,
right,
when this is a hockey hotbed?
I got a potential answer to that.
Well, I suppose it was money. They played in the dump for a long time right down in Bloomington, but they built this beautiful new arena in St. Paul. St. Paul captured it. So right. they host the hockey team, not Minneapolis. And but this Little Italy, there's one place, and I wrote it down here, called Cassetta's. It's like an Italian marketplace that not only has groceries and food you get like in a cafeteria, on a piece of pizza. You want a Italian salad over here. You want a sub. But then you got Italian marketplace. And then a couple of restaurants built in. We went to the one restaurant, Lewis's, for fine Italian food. I'll tell one more story about the area. I've gone to Minneapolis 5 times. Every time I've gone to Manny's Steakhouse. Wonderful, wonderful steaks. I looked at the menu. And now a steak at Manny's. This is before everything's a la carte. $79.
Wow.
Now, I'm looking at the list of places. 5 blocks from our hotel, we have Mancini's Supper Club. Supper clubs are big in the upper Midwest. I go to Mancini's for $40 less. I got almost the same steak,
right,
plus all the extras.
Right.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And so I'm just saying that St. Paul, Minneapolis, winter or summer, and of course you got the Mall of America, which we went down there and checked it out. It's still alive and prosperous compared to some other malls.
The beautiful thing about it is it's every house seems to have a hockey rink in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Just like we have basketball hoops in every driveway.
Right.
They have hockey rinks.
And and we also, Diane and I went to a University of Minnesota hockey game on Friday night. The place was mob, 10,000 people, sell out. They played Michigan State. They clocked them 8-0. And it was just a vibrant experience for us. So I really enjoyed that. But the other, in the same, I guess you call it latitude and longitude, about a couple of weeks ago, we went to the upper Northwoods, if you will, of Wisconsin with friends up in Eagle River. And I would tell you, if you ever want to make a trek north, you want to go into that area because the supper clubs are unbelievable. And I would throw one name out that you must experience: Blink Bonnie Steakhouse. It's a supper club, but especially the steaks.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. If you don't get there at 4:00 when they open, you'll be waiting for an hour and a half. We were there at 4:00, standing in a line to get in, but we did get into the first seating because there's only about 11 tables in there, plus a bar. And, typical Northwoods supper club that's outstanding at very, very reasonable prices.
Do you think that competes with the Holiday Inn Express that I stayed at in Bloomington?
Well, we stay with friends on a lake, but but we also, while I'm there, I just want to say, I really get to enjoy the outdoor experience. We went on a hike in the Nicollet Forest. Diane and Lynn Wall, our friend, they're feeding the chickadees with stuff, bird seed in their hand.
Mm-hmm.
It's unbelievable experience that to get away from, the urban area, I think is very refreshing. And so I've always enjoyed my trips up there, both in the winter and the summer. Throw one more thing out there. The Tribute Brewing Company. How about this, Pat, for beer? A little beer with a little blueberry in it, or a new one. Note to the producer as well, who I know likes to have occasional beer. A jalapeno beer. Unbelievable. Real tasty. I know it doesn't sound right, but boy, I enjoyed it.
I like a little blueberry in my coffee.
Yes. And how about a blueberry in your martini?
I've never had that. No, I've never had that.
All I'm saying to our friends here is the Upper Midwest does provide, in my opinion, some great travel experience that you can have in the wintertime as well, as long as it's not 10 below zero. I mean that can become a challenge. But if it's the lakes are all frozen, people are out there fishing, ice fishing, and so
do they have a lot of seafood from the various lakes?
Fish fries on Friday night are a staple.
But are those fish local or do they import?
Well, that's a good question. I really don't know the answer to that. I just make sure I order the walleye.
Now, you think the fact that St. Charles now has his own supper club will affect travel north to go to Wisconsin supper club?
It's funny you bring that up because last night I went to a soft opening at Duke's supper club. That's Duke's Northwoods, right there on Main Street, right next to the river. And I will say to our friends you should give it a try because particularly if you're interested in that kind of setting, the Wisconsin upper Midwest setting with the moose on the wall, and things of that.
No moose were hurt in this. Now, did you try the food?
I did. I had the walleye.
Oh, you had the walleye.
The fish was great.
Yeah.
They have old fashions there, which is the staple drink of a supper club in Wisconsin, and they have about 4 different kinds of old fashions.
What about prime rib?
I didn't see prime rib on the menu at this point, nor did I see liver and onions, which I thought might be.
But those are staples in your average.
Yes, yes. And so anyway,
did they have really bad looking carpeting?
No, it's really done very well, both front and back. I mean, I looked at a spot in the building, and I remember going up to the counter to fill up a prescription with Bob Burger back in the day.
Oh, yes. Sure.
And, so the building has evolved, obviously. But again, you're sitting up front, you're looking out, you think it's instead of the Fox River, you think it's the Wisconsin River.
Right.
It's quite a nice setting. So
nice. And owned by, I believe.
Well, it's a group of people, but I think Jared Payton is included in that group, along with Steve Mayer and various others. So
we have no interest, of course, in the restaurant.
But we always like to tout local establishments.
Potential sponsor, maybe.
Exactly.
Sure.
So that's our travel segment for today. And when we get back, we're going to be joined by Shay Clarke, and we're going to talk all things Irish and all things travel. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. You face technology challenges every day that threaten to steal business, compromise data, can bring your business down. Without a good partner to help protect from phishing, ransomware, viruses, data breaches, employee turnover, and cybersecurity threats, your business is at risk of losing everything. TechWorks has been the trusted IT partner to Fox Valley businesses for over 20 years, keeping systems secure and providing extraordinary customer service, helping your business grow. Call TechWorks today at 630-482-2227 or visit www.techworks.com. That's TechWorks with a Q. TEQ works, and see how TechWorks IT service can transform and secure your business. Hello, friends. This is Ray Rogina. I'd like to say a few words about my friends at the Karis Group of Restaurants, one of our sponsors. I've been a frequent guest at all of their fine restaurants for years, one of which is Rookies, which has locations throughout the Fox Valley and beyond. My favorite dish at Rookies is the gyros plate with the Saganaki appetizer. Oopa! My wife, she loves the Hall of Fame chicken sandwich. But I can honestly say that I've never had a bad meal there, regardless of whatever I've had to eat. The wings are out of this world, the salads are delicious, great burgers, tacos, all American specialties, and don't forget their pizza. And of course, you can wash this all down with one of their famous Mai Tais. Try them out. St. Charles, Geneva, Elgin, Hoffman Estates, Huntley, and Roselle. RookiesPub.com. I'll see you there.
Well, we're very excited today to have Seamus Clarke to come in and talk all things Ireland and St. Charles.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks very much for asking me to come in.
We're
Good to have
excited.
you, Shay.
Very excited. So you're telling the Shay Clarke story.
I suppose so, if that's what you want me to do.
Yeah, tell us.
Which one would you like?
Just a little introduction about you and your life.
Okay. Came to the United States in 1987, settled in, well, a year in the city before we moved out to the suburbs of West Dundee, and we're still there. We have 3 kids and a grandchild. The roots go down quite fast. Palling around with Maurice McNally led me to St. Charles at some stage. And in the meantime, we had stores. We had Irish import stores in Harlem and Irving Plaza, in Randhurst, in Spring Hill, and in Woodfield, and other locations from time to time. That's what we did to make a crust at the time, put our kids through school and college. And yeah, now I'm kind of semi-retired doing things I like to do.
Now,
Indeed, but by the way, his comment about palling around with Maurice McNally, that in and of itself was a trouble spot right at the beginning of his comment.
well, I know there are people interested in a potential reality show with you two walking about. What do you think? But I like the expression "earn my crust." I like that one.
Oh, yes. Well, that's the way it was. I mean, the stores worked out really, really well for us. We saw an opening in the market. We went into the malls. The doors closed eventually with the introduction of the internet and online shopping.
Well, before 1987, when you came to America, let's talk a little bit about your life in Ireland.
Oh, back in Ireland, I suppose I was born in 1950, and by the time I finished school, going to college wasn't really an option for people like ourselves back then. So my very first job was in 1968 in Joe Walsh Tours. It was the biggest tour operator in Ireland, and I was very lucky to get in there, and I loved it for a long, long time.
Right.
And it never really leaves you, the travel business at all. So I was able to then to steer back into it when I retired.
Right. Now, you were born where?
Dublin. Yes.
And tell me a little bit about your family, mom, dad.
Mom, dad. My mom and dad were both from Kells in County Meath. You might have heard of the Book of Kells.
Sure.
It's only 40 miles from Dublin, but they were both from farming communities either side of Kells. So I was very lucky. I had a pair of grandparents in Carlinstown, 2 miles kind of north west of Kells, and I had my other grandparents in 2 miles on the other side in a little place called Balrath. Yeah. So I was so lucky to have that wonderful upbringing.
And what did your folks do?
Mum was a stay-at-home mum, and Dad was a busman.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Now, did you have some relationship with journalism or broadcasting in Ireland? Or?
No, not really. No. Not at all, in fact. All of that came when I came to in the United States. I was 37 when I came here. And I suppose one of my very good friends, Cliff Carlson, he's the editor of and publisher of the Irish American News, asked me to write a column for him. And I wrote a column for him for perhaps, must have been the best part of 20 years. Uh-huh. And the broadcasting was, we started an Irish radio show in Elgin called Blarney on the Air a million years ago. And we brought it then to from WDCB to WRMN. So we had Blarney on the Air, must have been another 20 years.
Really? 20 years?
I would say so, yeah. From its beginning, we used to broadcast out of Elgin.
Back to the Irish American News, was most of your columns have a Chicago bent to them? I mean,
they were whatever came into me, demented brain. On an hour before Cliff wanted the deadline.
So there was no particular subject.
Not at all. It was just whatever I was doing.
So you were podcasting before podcasting was a thing. With the Blarney.
Well, he's on the radio.
It was a radio show, yeah. It was fun. We did it for a long, long time and had a lot of fun doing it as well.
Well, you come to America 1987-ish, and you talked a little bit about McNally's. What was your affiliation with McNally?
Morris was a friend. He was originally a customer in the Blarney stores that I had, and we became friends very easily. Two guys who liked pints, for God's sake. It was And we had a wonderful time.
And so for those people who aren't from St. Charles, where is McNally?
McNally's is in the center of St. Charles, right opposite the Hotel Baker. It's an traditional Irish pub, fabulous traditional Irish
And
pub.
they serve Irish fare.
Irish fare and American fare. I mean, burger isn't exactly Irish, but but then shepherd's pie isn't either. But we have both.
Pat, you would agree, both you guys are Irish, you would agree that McNally's really is done up really right in terms of the Irish you smell Irish when you walk in the place.
I can't speak to authenticity because I haven't been to the.
Have you not? God forbid.
No,
I can sign you up straight away.
We're going to get into that.
But it certainly feels that way.
Yeah,
and I enjoy it every March at least.
I can tell you that that what makes McNally special, apart from the fact that the building is fabulous and all of the furnishings, the back bar, the bar, that's all Morris's thing, but it's the hospitality. It's Irish hospitality.
I would concede that.
Right.
Rosie used to be there.
Yes, indeed.
She became a professional hairdresser.
She's coming back. She's coming back next month to do in April, rather. To do a guest day.
All right.
Yeah, it's for charity. And this being our 25th anniversary year, we're going to bring a lot of people back.
McNally's been in St. Charles 25 years.
25 years.
Mercy.
Yeah. Mercy is right.
I could do some busing, and I know Ray's.
Well, I'll tell you something. The way things are working right now, we need you. Can you start this evening?
Yes, exactly. When you talk about the Irish and you talk about St. Charles, we have the annual parade. This year that's coming up on March 11th.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was started, I believe, by McNally's and Rosie a long time ago, and I got involved in it somewhere along the way more recently. And
you're the MC.
I am indeed, and I was the what you call it? You know, the guy who did. Yeah, the word escapes me right this moment. Not the MC, but the.
Well, you're describing everything that's going by.
The leader of the parade.
The leader of the parade.
Yeah,
yes.
Who is that?
I was there during the rainy year. Do you remember the rainy?
Do I remember? Oh my God!
There I was all ready for it, and the rain just pouring down.
Sure. Oh, please!
Just like home.
Just like home. Well, not all the time, but I remember going to parades with my father back in the day, back in Dublin. And, he would put me up on his shoulders and we would watch the bands go by. And most of the entertainment at the time was from America. You know, the marching bands. We didn't really have marching bands. We couldn't afford the equipment, for God's sake, at our schools. Yeah.
Oh.
Billy Connolly always said the two sports that we were good at in Ireland and Scotland were throwing stones and spitting because they cost nothing.
Hey, Shay, I've seen this advertised on Facebook before. I guess you're the master of ceremonies for this. On Tuesday nights at McNally's, you have a trivia contest. Is that right?
We have unbroken pub quiz or trivia, whatever you want to call it, for the 25 years we've been in town. We've been doing trivia.
Regular teams come in there and try to assert their championship caliber.
Last night it came down to the wire.
Well, we have to go.
That's every Tuesday night?
We have to go.
Every Tuesday night at 7. Yeah.
If you invite the podcast, we can do a live feed.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Well, we got to think about
I'm not
that.
quite sure what it would be, but it'd be fun. Anyway, that's for sure.
There's an idea right
25 years we've been doing
there. Note to the
trivia.
producer over here.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you have an ownership stake in McNally's? Or
Not
just,
at all,
Just
no.
because of your
No.
friendship?
Yes.
Yeah.
I came down when he moved across the street to the new location, which
Right.
is now, it's older than the old location.
Right.
That's right.
But I came down to help him out. He called me one day and said, "Listen, come down and give us a hand." Right. And sure, I've been there ever since. I retired regularly, but
Right.
I always end up coming back in.
I have heard so much about Shay and his ability to take a tour and personalize it from a number of people who've gone on his tours. And so we're going to talk a bit about that. First of all, Shay, who do you work for?
I work with a company called Intertrav, and Intertrav have been in St. Charles for 50 years. If you walk out of Townhouse Books, there's a parking lot directly opposite you, and the building over the parking lot is Intertrav.
And we might as well get their website right now for our audience on the table, because as we talk about the possible tours that we have coming up, people might be interested in checking things out in a more detailed fashion.
Absolutely, of course. The website is www.grouptripsandtravel.com. Grouptripsandtravel.com. If you pop Intertrav into your any of the media things, you'll find our
Sure.
website.
Big
immediately.
picture of you.
Yeah, probably somewhere along the line.
As I've talked to people, they always describe your tours as somebody where you're the tour leader and you bring it down to a very personal level and to out of the way places in the particular country you're traveling in.
True.
Let's talk about, before we get to the specifics of what's coming up, let's talk about some of your favorite trips over the years.
I suppose, you know something, Ray, my favorite trips, I would have to say Ireland. And that's only because I can do Ireland in my sleep. And in fact, when I am sleeping is when I have most of my best ideas about where to go. I go to bed with itineraries in my head. And during the course of some of my sleeping, I'm actually working on itinerary. I love doing it. I really and absolutely love doing it. Does that mean I love Spain? I love Greece. I love Italy. I love France. I'm not that interested in going to places that I don't know anymore.
Sure.
I like the comfort of the places that I know. You know.
All right, let me ask you this question. We'll use Ireland as the example because you say you know it the best. How do you think your tour to Ireland is different from a typical Irish tour? For example, I'm going to Dublin and a few other places through Anthony Travel for Notre Dame and Navy. I know I'll get some Irish experience, but how would you, and I know you've done that before too, how would you describe your experience different from others? And I've heard some stories.
Yeah. Well,
just so you know.
I know you have, and they're
good ones.
We have a lot of fun, I must say. Fun is what it's all about, and like-minded people, and there's rarely a time in McNally's nowadays where there isn't somebody sitting down at a table or at the bar who hasn't traveled.
Correct.
So there's an awful lot of our mutual friends who have traveled with me to Ireland and Italy and Spain and all these other places. What's different is I'm all about having fun. You know that. Right?
Yes, I do.
There's the cultural aspect to everyone is important to me, but I don't need it all the time. And I suppose in Ireland, what we have that they don't have in some of those other countries is the pubs.
The pubs, exactly.
And you know the way people say, when I go to Ireland, I really want to meet Irish people. Well, the only place you're going to meet them, unless you go to Mass on Sunday and go walk around is go to the pub, right? Because that's where you meet Irish people. That's where they go. And it's not a culture of drink. It's a culture of, it's where you went to arrange anything. Matchmaking was all done in pubs. Even when the match was made, the fathers would meet to agree the dowry. Things like old-fashioned things that still go on. It's quite amazing how the pub is part of the community. It really is. It's children come into the pubs and And that's no problem whatsoever, but
Right.
it happens all the time.
Now, I've heard that you'll take your tour into pubs and just have a jolly old time. That seems to be the focus, whether you're in Dublin or even one of the counties outside of.
Oh, absolutely,
Dublin.
No doubt about it. But where would you stop? If you stop for lunch during the day and you have a group of people with you, it's much easier to go into a pub and get a bowl of soup and some nice brown bread. And maybe a pint to go alongside it, right? But easier than walking into a restaurant. Oh my God, yeah.
Now, another thing I want to point out, and you talk about this a bit in your description of your tours, you have some interesting individuals assisting you, the drivers. Let's talk a bit about that.
And I should. That's what's different between my tour and your tour.
Yes,
is my driver. I have a driver. I know that's not true. I have about 6 drivers, but I use one all the time. His name is Luke Shanahan, and he's an amazingly wonderful. He bursts into song at the drop of a hat. But all the drivers on all the tours in Ireland are brilliant in their own way. They're just
Don't you have to be riding in the roads of Ireland though?
They know the roads like the back of their hand. I have to tell you one story where the driver I had wasn't experienced in the Dublin area. He was a lovely fella. He's from Kilkenny, and he was driving us from out in Killiney, in Dalkey area, the south side. Beautiful area.
Here.
Dalkey Island. Oh, yeah, it's an amazing place. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute. But we were in Fitzpatrick's Castle Hotel, and you left the castle and turned left to go back into Dublin where we were going. My guy decided he was going to turn right, but in order to correct himself, he took another right, hoping it would bring him back to where he was going. And it would have if he wasn't driving a big 50-seater coach. There is a tiny little stone bridge. Enya, you know Enya, the singer?
Yes.
She lives in her little castle there. And there's a little bridge from her castle across the street, and the coach would not go through this opening. It was no way in the world it was going through. So anyway, I had to get off the coach, walk behind it to make sure no traffic was coming. And we had to reverse certainly a quarter of a mile on a little narrow street. And then we managed to. 1 year later, same driver did exactly the same thing, right? And again, I had to get back him down the street. Oh, it's crazy when you see it, but there you go, especially when you're in a hurry to get to the airport.
As I weave my way into your conversation about your tours coming up, how did you decide, and I know you alluded to the fact that you like these countries, but how did you decide to expand beyond Ireland? We've got Italy on the docket, we've got France on the docket, we've got Spain on the docket.
Because I like to travel and I like to go back to the places I like and know well. And I must say, I love that part of continental Europe. I love the Mediterranean countries, and I just love, and I like food, I like wine, and where else are you going to get it? Italy and Spain and Greece.
Well, let's talk about these tours. First of all, you've got 4 different, as my notes tell me, you've got 4 different trips coming up between now and the beginning of October.
I have 5. It's all right.
All right. 5. Well, I've got.
Because I'm doing Ireland twice this year.
That makes the
I'm doing Ireland
one.
twice, and I'll tell you why I'm doing Ireland twice. I'm doing it in June for the teachers because they give me a terrible time because I always use the shoulder seasons and they can never travel.
All right.
So this one's for the teachers.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
How about the La Dolce Vita Italian tour coming up May 15th to the 25th, and we got to throw a former student's name in here, and 2 former students, Dennis and Kathy O'Brien.
That's right.
And you got to talk about how they become part of the production.
Yeah, well, Dennis and Kathy have been traveling with me for about 6 or 7 years, I think. We've been to Ireland together. We've been to England together. And Ireland again. Ireland is what we normally do. He's traveled with the band, with the full band. We traveled with 80 people at that stage, right? With 2 coaches. And it was really, we've had an awful lot of fun. And really they were at the stage now where they were maybe not going to bother going anywhere this year. And then the tour to Italy came up and we jumped on it straight away, and they did too, because this particular tour of Italy is basically taking 2 tours from last year and taking the best part of each of them and melding them together.
2 questions. One, are they going to perform?
No, this is not about performing. He normally does. But
He's along for the ride.
yes,
And
indeed.
the second is Casey O'Brien is not invited.
Well, Casey's invited. Anywhere I'm going, Casey's can come. Right?
All right. Where are we going at in Italy?
In Italy, we're going to start off at Lake Como.
Oh,
Right.
I want to go there
We'll
sometime.
see the Clooney's.
The Clooney's, yeah, wave at them as you're going by. But that's George you're speaking of.
That's
yeah,
correct,
right.
yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful, stunningly amazing place. And we spend a couple of days there, and then we go down to the Italian Riviera.
Is that Genoa down there in that area? Are you in
I'm not going to Genoa,
Okay.
but it's down there somewhere. I just keep on avoiding it. Not avoiding it, but missing it. Missing it was what the word I was looking for. Missing it, yeah. And we spent a few days. We spent a few days at Cinque Terre on the Riviera, up to Positano.
Oh, please.
Absolutely.
This sounds
I
good.
love. I've been doing this race since 1968. Since 1968, I've been doing this.
Well, both Pat and I will be signing up at some point here. I know that, but go ahead.
Hopefully
From the
together.
Riviera, we go over to Florence for a day.
All right.
And on that evening, we drive down to where our home is for the next 3 days. That's in a little Tuscan village called San Gimignano.
Oh.
Absolutely stunningly fabulous place. A little town with 7 beautiful bell towers, right? And the food, the wine, the food is fabulous, right?
You have to tell me.
I wake up at that time of the year. Where am I? No, this is May. Usually in the fall, you're woken up in the morning with shotguns and dogs, and they're out looking for wild boar is what they're hunting at that stage.
And by the way, wild boar is a fine delicacy in Italy. There's no question about
It's
that.
something I don't ever want to be in a room with.
So when you get to these cities, you said 3 days. What are you doing in the city?
Oh, we'll use the city. We'll use the town to tour. There will be a wine tasting and a nice dinner in the evening. There will be. We're actually doing a food demonstration where you can learn how to make the pasta
this
make
sounds like my
sauce.
kind
That
of
wild boar, by the way, is chingala.
Is that what it is?
Yes, it is.
You got to make sure it's cooked, though.
Chingala.
You'll get some. Now, so you're not just going to churches and that kind of thing. You're
No.
living the life.
I once described my Irish tour as a pub tour of Ireland, thinly disguised as a cultural experience.
This is my kind of tour.
Well, but I did note that Venice is also on this. Are you worried about the canals being empty, though?
No, I'm not, because in all honesty, it's always a feast or a famine there. They're always flooding or half empty. I mean, but it's never bothered anybody. The newspapers, as they say, paper won't refuse ink. They can write what they like. They've just,
All right. My notes say that a 10-day tour, May 15th to 25th, $47.90 per person.
Yes.
Does that include airfare?
Of course it does.
Oh, that's a value.
It's airfare from O'Hare, right?
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right. Then moving along into the summer. Now we're getting to the summer here.
This is the teacher's tour of
June
Ireland. 10th
10th to 20th.
Yeah.
Summer in Ireland, please.
Summer in Ireland. Well, the first thing I have to tell you is just to mention, you know, the movie that's out recently, the Banshees of Inisherin.
Yes.
Have you seen it?
Yes. Oh, I have not seen it.
No,
But
well, there
it's
you
got rave reviews.
It's the first Irish movie ever to be nominated for 9 Academy Awards. In fact, the Academy Awards next week, the Irish are in 14 different nominated in 14 different what do you call them, categories. It's never happened before, but it's quite amazing. We're all very
It's our greatest
excited
export,
about it.
isn't it?
So
the people,
yeah. Well, it's an industry that's booming right now.
Sure.
But when I saw the movie and saw where it was filmed, it's filmed in Inishmore in the Éirinn Islands and in the Achill Island, which is up in County Mayo. And I've decided to put one of those into both of my Irish tours. So this particular tour, the first one, the one on June the 10th, is going to Inishmore. Now, Inishmore on the Éirinn Islands is like going back 100 years. It's quite amazing. Absolutely, stunningly. Yeah, it's amazing.
What's the home base for that? Or are there any specific home bases for or you're just going to go to several different cities?
No, what we're doing on this particular tour is let me have a quick look. I want to make sure I'm doing it right. We're 3 days in Killarney, in County Kerry. We're 3 days in Galway, and we're 3 days in Dublin. So basically, we give ourselves really good hotels. I'm very fussy about hotels.
I'm glad to hear that.
We're staying in one of my favorite hotels in in all three places, but they're designed specifically so that we can tour out of them. So we return it. Now you don't have to be packing your bags every day and unpacking them at night.
That's good.
How do you protect against somebody staying in the pubs till 2 or 3 in the morning and then staggering out in the morning?
That's encouraged.
Hey, I'm already well in bed asleep at that stage. So they either make it to the bus in the morning or they don't.
All right, 10 days. I don't know. Is this sold out yet? Or are these sold out?
No, it's not. It's not sold out. There's not a single one of my tours that I would consider sold out. In all honesty, the promotions just started in the last.
Well, and this is $3,690 per person.
Oh, why?
So with airfare, that's in my opinion quite a value.
But there's quite a lot of entertainment built in. I mean,
I imagine
we're going to the Guinness Storehouse on this one. We're going to
the Guinness Storehouse,
and the several distilleries. We do not pass a distillery or a brewery. I mean, it'd be rude.
That would be rude. It's not something we like to do.
There you go.
All right, and then in August, at the end of August, melding its way into September, we have Shay's French Connection.
The French Connection.
French Connection.
This one is based on a family holiday that we had, myself and Tracy and the kids, and a few others that we brought with us.
Will you ever bring us with, Pat? Would you bring us with?
Listen, you just have to turn up at the airport.
We could do a live reporting.
Oh, I'll tell you, this got a lot of potential. Go ahead.
I have an even better idea, right?
All right.
So this tour is based on a trip we took with our kids years ago. A friend of ours had a farmhouse in Coutances, which is up in Normandy, not far from the beaches and stuff like that. And we went to visit Mont Saint Michel and Saint Malo and some lovely places. I love that part of the country. I mean, I really do. But so we based it on that, and of course, then I heard about a Seine River cruise from a little place called Honfleur, which is up in Normandy as well. And I said, if we could put the two tours together, and that's what we did as well. So basically, there's 5 days touring and 6 days cruising.
In the touring, how long are you in Paris?
We're in Paris for the first 2 days, and we're in Paris for the last 2 days.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right. And I if I may, as you cough here, if I may, the churches in Paris, Notre Dame is under construction.
Mm-hmm. We'll go there.
My impression.
We'll go there nonetheless.
Oh, okay.
And we'll also go to Sacré-Cœur.
Oh, see, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
some of the smaller churches in Paris, to me, are much more stunning.
I'm sorry.
Want to take a break? Let's take a break. All 3, 2, 1.
I'm really sorry. When that starts, there's no way in the world.
That's all right.
Stop it.
No, Diane's going through some of that right now. She has the same problem.
Sweet mother of God.
Take the puffer.
Can we, after you're done with the travel, can we talk about St. Patrick's Day a little bit?
Oh, absolutely.
What?
St. Patrick's Day.
You could drag me into there. Am I spending too much of time?
No. We got this. I'll tell you what. After we get done with Viva España, why don't you talk about St. Patrick's Day, and then I'll close it out.
Yeah.
That'll be fine.
Just the tradition of it.
What length of time is your podcast for?
Usually somewhere between, in the low end, we've been 30 minutes. On the high end, we've been anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes.
Okay, right. Yeah.
So we're definitely in the time zone here. No problem there.
Don't worry about that.
Jeez. Thank you very much.
Narrow roads and pubs.
That's why I asked you for some water.
What'd you say?
I lived in London for about 3 years. So we spent a lot of time outside of London.
Thanks, Paul.
In Europe. So.
British country
we're
pubs.
in the middle of talking about the French Connection. And I asked them, should we start the French Connection again?
Just start France again. Yeah.
Let's just start France again.
We've got an editor here. He's professional.
We're going to do France again.
If you like.
No.
Okay, but
ready? 3, 2, 1.
And then your third trip is Shay's French Connection, August 28th to September 9th.
That's a great.
And the foundation for that tour, if I may.
Well, it started off as I'm trying to get back to places that I loved and I was in years ago. And this one, it's not that long ago. About 15 years ago, we went there as a family with some other friends, and we stayed at a little farmhouse in Coutances in Normandy, and that basically gave me the lovely places that I wanted. Mont Saint Michel, one of my favorite places in the whole world. It's absolutely gorgeous.
It is
stunning. And then Saint Malo, the Normandy beaches are, for any American is bound to love. It's just something you just, it tugs at the heart. And then I heard there was a Seine cruise that we could dovetail with. So we have 5 days touring and 6 days cruising. Luxury all the way. I mean, all the dinners and on the cruise certainly, and drinks are all taken care of.
The Loire Valley, is that a wine area?
It's a wine area, yes. And also up in Normandy, where the orchards of Normandy is where they get the pears and apples to make the Calvados, which is a kind of a brandy they make up there. Absolutely gorgeous, and used a lot in cooking as well. But it is. I mean, Calvados is their thing up there, and cider, of course. And I'm not too far from the Champagne region, so I imagine the Champagne be hit from time to time, but we're not going there, right?
Sure.
Well, this sounds like about a 12 or 13 day tour, and
it is 12 days.
And the price point on this is $47.95. So we're still below $5,000,
including your flight.
Including your flight, because you could easily, with two people, go above $10,000 on some tours. So sure. I want to emphasize, I think these are really bargains. The last one, you're not home very long before you jump right back on the plane. Now you're headed to Viva España. Oh,
that's Spain. I love Spain. We Irish went to Spain more than we went anywhere. Why? Because it was the cheapest destination. You could fly. Back in the early 70s, you could have a 2-week vacation in Spain, in any of the fabulous resorts in Spain, for £69, right? And if 1 week was 49, it was just two prices, 49 and 69, right? 1 week or 2 weeks. And of course, I at the time used to go, I was sent out to these places in order to, we were a seat of the pants operation. We were the biggest, but young people like us were given great authority, and we were sent out to look after the people that we had out there. So we would sell them excursions inland, right? So I was always on the beach. I never bothered with the excursions. I sold them to people, but I never went on them. So this is my chance now to see all the places that I sent people to for years. So, but this time we're starting off in the Basque country. All right. I have a particular affinity for San Sebastian and Bilbao. I love those areas, right? And I didn't know David House, Lord rest his soul, who owned Intertrav, lovely man. He passed away during COVID, but he was the one who set this. Him and I, we planned this tour before he passed away, but I never pulled the trigger on it because of COVID and various other things. But it's absolutely stunning, right? I go and I go everywhere I want to be, right? Fantastic. It really is. Montmartre, we're doing a foodie tour up there, right? Oh. And Sacré-Cœur Cathedral. We are in France. No, we're in Spain.
We're in Spain.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah. But you did mention Sacré-Cœur, and that's
you had me back.
Well, that's okay. That means that means France still lingers in your brain.
Absolutely.
And that's always good for the tour director too.
But my point about Dave was he told me about the paradors. The paradors are old castles, monasteries, abbeys that were uninhabited, and now they've been made into fabulous hotels. So we're staying in a parador it was the palace of King Carlos V of Spain, and it is literally from here to the fireplace from France. There's a river, and you can cross over the bridge, and you're in France. But it's the food is fabulous. You know, the pink sauce and stuff like that. The little sandwiches they have up there. Oh. They're called pink sauce because of the little cocktail stick they stick in them to keep them together. So the food is going to be fabulous.
What's the average weight gain on one of these tours?
I don't want to discuss that.
Well, I will discuss the fact that this is you're going to have another Irish tour. We might well throw that in there, but the price point on Viva España is $43.95. So you mentioned one more. You have a second Irish tour then.
Second Irish tour because, I was going to say my normal people, but the non-teachers like to travel But it's basically starting off at Kilkenny and going from Kilkenny up to Westport, County Mayo, and then back to Dublin. Westport is one of my favorites.
Dates? What?
Oh, the dates are October 6th to 16.
Is that? Can the weather be a little?
No, weather. You don't go to Ireland for the weather.
That's what I'm saying.
And it never rains in a pub. They're the only two things you need to know.
Oh, no, there you go.
No, the weather in October is fine. I go there every single October. Rarely do we have. I mean, it's a light jacket maybe, but you really don't go there for the sunshine. Well, mind you, when we do go on the early one, it's bright until after 11 p.m.
That's right.
Absolutely
we're farther
stunning.
north.
An Irishman can come home, have his dinner, and go out and play 18 holes.
Well, I wanted to bring up golf before we go to St. Patrick's Day. I want to bring up golf. I know there's no golfing on the tour, some of your people go out and play around a golf?
Of course.
Oh, well.
Absolutely.
There's some flexibility.
Beautiful golf courses in Ireland.
I should have told you that. We always build free time into every one of our tours. Plenty of time. I mean, if we're going somewhere in the morning on the coach and you don't want to go, you can stay in bed and go and play golf in the afternoon, go fishing. We arrange all of that for you, right?
Oh,
but yeah,
wow.
There's always free time. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Listen, before we sign off here today, Pat, our resident Irishman, wants to talk a bit about St. Patrick's Day. And I turn the table to you.
That's that's one of the things I wanted to talk about. I was born in the south side of Chicago, but, our people are from, I think, Cork. So, one of those American Irish type things. Very proud of our Irish heritage. But as it relates to St. Patrick's Day, what's the difference between how it's celebrated in Ireland and how
I can tell you that. Years ago, back when I came here first, 1987, we were celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Ireland like we always did. It was a holy day of obligation. You went to Mass, you went to the parade if you happened to be in a town that had a parade, and then you just went about your normal day. There wasn't nothing more to it until all you Americans started bringing your American ideas over here. And now we're way ahead of you, right? It's crazy over there. It wasn't for years. That
was my understanding. It was kind of a sacred day.
Now it is exactly the same as it is here.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Well, the financial
and
opportunity.
It's just fun, of course. The pubs are always going to look out for situations they can turn to their favor.
What traditions do you in terms of food and drink and things like that? What do you do?
Well, there was a time where there was no drink on St. Patrick's Day.
Right.
The pubs were literally closed because it was our National Saints' Day. And now that's not true. But it would start a few weeks beforehand where myself and my brothers and sisters would be sent out to get shamrock, real shamrock in the fields. And you would you'd find, fields that were good for shamrock, and you'd find shamrock and you would dig it up with a trowel and bring it home and clean it. And it would be put in glasses like this so that on St. Patrick's Day, it would be pinned to your lapel and you would wear the shamrock, right? And so that was one of the things I remember well. And apart from that, it's just getting to know our patron saint and know more about him and where he was from. And there's still nobody's actually pinpointed that. Some people say, well, we know that he wasn't from Ireland because he was taken to Ireland first as a slave to look after pigs up in Armagh somewhere.
Right.
With all, fun final question here, with all these trips you take over the course of years, you've gone into these communities over and over again. I have to think you have some favorite restaurants and some favorite, in case of Ireland, particularly some favorite pubs.
Yes.
That when you walk in a place, hey, Shay's here.
Norm.
No,
exactly.
Not quite.
Talk to us about
I would,
that.
of course, yes. Of course, and more so in Ireland than anywhere else. But still, in Italy, a lot of them would know me from the hotels and from the wine tastings.
And that's important on a tour, that the tour director has got some
of course.
if you will.
Yeah. And usually the guides we use and the drivers we use have, even if you're going into new territory, they've been there before. They know it all. They do a great job.
Listen, Pat and I both can't thank you enough for injecting, first of all, as we come to St. Patrick's Day, and it's important in St. Charles in particular, and other towns as well that have parades, but to come here and inject some Irish humor, some Irish tradition, some Irish flavor into our podcast, and for our tourists out there, stimulating their tourist desires as we move forward and people are traveling more and more as COVID winds down. So I want to thank our producer, Paul Stukel for keeping us on task today. And in
Give that
closing,
website one more time.
well, let's, website one more time.
For Intertrav's website, it's www.grouptripsandtravel.com. Grouptripsandtravel.com. And thank you both very much. Thank you all very much, should I say, for having me along here today.
Well, as we close, I'd ask our resident Irish podcast host, Pat Crimmins, to deliver an Irish blessing.
Oh, it's one of my dad's favorites. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.
Thank you, Shay.
Not at all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
That's one of my favorites too.
To all of you out there, let's be safe. See you soon. So long, everyone.